The Daydream, or, as it was initially intended to be named, Monna Primavera, is an oil-on-canvas painting by the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood founder Dante Gabriel Rossetti. The work, which measures 158.7 centimetres in height by 92.7 centimetres wide, was undertaken in 1880 and depicts Jane Morris posed in a seated position on the bough of a sycamore tree. A small stem of honeysuckle is in her hand, a token of love in the Victorian era, but may be an indication of the secret affair the artist was immersed in with her at the time. The artwork was left to the Victoria and Albert Museum by Constantine Alexander Ionides in 1900. Background. During 1878, Rossetti completed a chalk sketch of Morris, his secret lover, who he had met at the Theatre Royal, Drury Lane. In 1857, she was the model for several of his well-known paintings, including Proserpine. The drawing was displayed above the mantelpiece in Rossetti's studio. Initially, the painting was to be called Monna Primavera, or Vanna Primavera, possibly inspired by La Vita Nuova, a narrative that captivated Rossetti and was the basis for earlier pieces of his works of art. Rossetti was also a poet and penned sonnets to accompany several of his paintings. The last composition in his series, entitled Sonnets for Pictures, is associated with this painting. The sonnet reads, Rossetti had not initially been fully satisfied with the painting and he made several revisions to it. He wrote to Morris apologizing for copying the feet of another woman to the picture. An earlier painting of Morris, entitled The Salutation of Beatrice, had similarly used a different model's hands in the final version. Description: Morris is posed in seated position on the bough of a sycamore tree. A small stem of honeysuckle is in her hand, a token of love in the Victorian era and may be an indication of the secret affair the artist was immersed in with her at the time. Unusually for Rossetti work during this time, this is one of his last paintings. The model is pictured full length. The painting is signed D. Rossetti 1880 on the lower right. The scene is a representation of a young woman in a green silk dress, shaded by the arabesque of the winged sycamore tree's leaves. Above her head and around her, the tree branches are depicted almost embracing her, or as if she was emerging from the tree itself, almost as a dryad, or tree nymph. She is portrayed clad all in green. Her dress is a romantic wide and loose silk robe, flowing in graceful folds down, blending in with the tree's leaves, that connects the subject and its surroundings visually. She is immersed in her daydreams, turning her gaze downwards, away, towards something unseen or perhaps only perceived by her. The depiction of the young, elegant woman in her shelter surrounded by the branches is adding to the secretive feeling of the painting, maybe indicating the furtiveness of the affair or a clandestine meeting place. In the shelter it is dark, but around her shoulder there is light blue compartments against a dark green background, signaling that it is daytime. Exhibitions and provenance. It was left to the Victoria and Albert Museum by Constantine Alexander Ionides in 1900. Ionides had commissioned Rossetti to undertake the work in 1879 for 700 guineas. Rossetti and Ionides corresponded throughout the duration of the work being undertaken on the painting, when it was almost completed on the 18th of March, 1880. Rossetti wrote saying, "Will be beyond question as good a thing as I ever did." Quote, he also gave explicit instructions as to where the picture was to be positioned, including details as to the height from the floor and the direction from which the light should hit it.